Here's how to plan for your digital death. Hi there, everyone. It's Jeff, and this is Plain English, where JR and I help you upgrade your English with current events and trending topics. This is lesson number 486, so you can find today's lesson at plainenglish.com/486. Last Thursday, we talked about what happens to your online accounts after you die, and it may have left you a little unsatisfied. That's because if you don't plan ahead, you don't have any control over what happens to your social media accounts, computer files, photos, and emails. After researching last week's lesson, I felt a little overwhelmed. It sounds like a lot of work to prepare for your digital death. A lot of work that, let's be honest, most of us don't want to do. So today, we're going to talk about how you can plan for your digital death. And the good news is it's not too hard. In the second half of the lesson, I'll show you how to use the English expression up to date. In the second half, we also have a quote of the week. And related to the quote of the week, I have a special gift for you. So sometimes you get to the end of a podcast episode and you just stop listening before the end. And you can do that on most days. But don't do it today or you'll miss out on a free gift that I have for you. Got it? So listen to the end, and now we're ready. Let's start by talking about access. If you died today, would anyone be able to get into your most important accounts? You might remember that in lesson 326, I recommended that you use a password manager. These programs generate and store passwords, but they can also serve as a digital vault of important information. And most commercial password managers allow you to appoint an emergency contact. The settings vary, but by setting an emergency contact in your password manager, you guarantee that your emergency contact has access to your most important accounts. This covers access to your computer, your phone, and online services. To put your mind at ease, the password managers have implemented several security settings to prevent someone from accessing the account in a non-emergency. So the first step to planning your digital death is to use a password manager and appoint an emergency contact. But there's more than just access. How would you like your social media profiles to look? Facebook lets you choose a legacy contact. Your legacy contact is someone who can administer your account after you die. And by that, I mean the legacy contact can change your profile from an active profile to a memorialized profile if that's what you want. That person can then monitor the posts on your account, change your profile photo, and handle incoming messages. Or your legacy contact can delete your profile altogether. I just appointed a legacy contact. It took exactly 1 minute. For most people, Facebook will be enough. You don't need to manage a lot of accounts. Just choose the one account that has the most important people in it. If that's another service, though, you'll have to work a little harder. Other social media accounts like Instagram, Snapchat, and Twitter don't let you appoint a legacy contact. The best way to manage these accounts is to leave specific instructions to another person. More on that later. Next up is email. If you don't use email for meaningful correspondence with friends and family, you might not need to worry too much about it. But if you have messages to and from other people that you'd like to be preserved, or if you'd like to send a message to your contacts, then you should plan ahead. Google lets you appoint up to 10 people who can access your account upon your death. But Google is the exception. Most services don't let you appoint a legacy contact, but you can leave access instructions in your password manager. The bigger issue, however, is that only you know where the good emails are. For example, I have tens of thousands of saved emails, maybe over 100,000 by now, and some would be of value to others. My correspondence with family and friends over the years might be of comfort to the people who survive me. But if they're not organized, they'll be lost, even if someone gets access to my accounts. So if you have emails or correspondence that you'd like to be preserved, it's best to create a special folder with meaningful messages. Take some time every year, maybe around the holidays, to add the messages that are truly meaningful. Then, in your instructions to your family, tell them about the folder. The same goes for files. I hate to break it to you, but most of the files in your Dropbox or your Google Drive are of no interest to anyone else. But if you have family photos, videos, or important documents, leave instructions about where to find the files that would be valuable to others. So I keep saying, tell your heirs this, or leave instructions about that. How exactly do you do that? If you have a will, you can leave specific instructions about how to manage your accounts in there. Write a nice long letter and say exactly what you want to happen. Say, the messages in the folder marked preserved should be downloaded and given to this relative. All other messages should be deleted. Or you can say, send the following post to Facebook and then memorialize my account. Use this photo as my final profile photo. Just like that. And then find some quiet time to tell people in your life that you've left instructions for them in your will. If you don't have a will, you can still do this. I would recommend putting this letter in a box or a binder in a place that's easy to find. Tell one or two relatives where to find the information in your house. Now, some of you might have a more complicated digital life. You might have a blog, you might have an online business, you might have a lot of data on a genealogy site, maybe you have cryptocurrency, what have you. The more complicated your digital life, the more detailed your instructions should be. But it doesn't have to be too much. Just think about what's important, not what's important to you because you'll be dead. Think about what others might want to have. What would give them comfort? What photos would they like to have? What would you want your blog readers to know? It's probably not a whole lot in the end. But if you invest a little bit of time every year to keep this information up to date, then you can have the digital legacy you desire. I took a look through my password manager just to get a sense of how many accounts might be useful to someone on my death. Now, aside from plain English, it isn't much. Emails, yes. Files, yes. One social media account, maybe my frequent flyer miles. That's it. So I am going to do this. And like I said, I just appointed a legacy contact on Facebook. I'll set up an emergency contact in LastPass. I'll find the emails that are from important people in my history and save them in a folder. And I'll write this letter too with full instructions. And I'll probably do that over the holidays this year. Today's English expression is up to date. There are two ways to use it. Now, first, if something includes the latest information, it's up to date. And second, if a person knows the latest information, that person is up to date. Right now, in Wimbledon, Carlos Alcaraz is fighting for his life in the fourth set of his match against the Italian Jannik Sinner. Novak Djokovic is going to play in the round of 16 later this afternoon. Rafael Nadal just won a match handily yesterday. Is this information up to date? No, it is not. I wrote this lesson in the afternoon on July 3rd. You're hearing it at the earliest on July 18th. If you're a tennis fan, you already know the winner of the tournament. So my report on Wimbledon was not up to date because it doesn't include the latest information. My password manager, however, is up to date. That's because I never create a password without also adding it to LastPass. So my LastPass is always up to date. My LastPass always includes the most recent information. Earlier today, I suggested that you write down your wishes for your digital accounts in the event of your death. This doesn't have to be complicated. Just state what you have, who should access it, how they should get the information, and what to share with other people. I also suggested revisiting this around the holidays every year. If you do that, your instructions will be up to date. Your instructions will include the latest information. They'll include what you currently want. You can easily imagine how your preferences might change. You might delete an account, get a new one. Your legacy contact might die before you. You might have new files you want to save. A lot can happen in a year. So revisit this information once a year, or more if you want, but revisit it at least once a year so that it's up to date, so that your instructions include your current thinking about what you want to happen to your digital life after you die. If you have a traditional will, you should make sure that is up to date as well. You might get new bank accounts, buy or inherit possessions, or simply change your wishes about who should get your assets when you die. If your financial situation changes, or if your thinking changes, you should change your will so that your will is up to date. Change your will so that it has the most recent information. So these are all things. Things are up to date if they include the most recent information, a report, a document, a password manager, a will, a letter. These are things that are up to date. But a person can be up to date as well. A person is up to date if that person knows the latest information. So I shared some personal news a few weeks ago. I finally left my traditional job and I'm 100% dedicated to plain English. And as I was making that decision, I kept JR up to date about my plans. That means he knew the most current information. I told him I was considering leaving my job. Then I told him when I had made the decision, and he sent me a nice good luck text on my last day. He was up to date. He had the latest information. For today's quote, we're going way back in time, but it's a timeless quote. It's from Socrates, and it's famous. Here it is. Tell me, and I forget. Show me, and I remember. Let me do, and I understand. Now, for anyone learning something new, those are true words. If you sit in the back of the room and just listen, you probably forget what you're learning. If you watch it happen live, you have a much better chance of remembering. But if you get to do something yourself, then you'll really remember it and understand it. And that, I think, is an important point to remember as you think about making progress in English. Listening is good. You need to listen. Reading is good too. That helps you improve. But to really get better, you need to be using what you learn. Now, I told you that I had a special bonus for you, and that is this. I just put together a special training video for plain English listeners, and it's all about the differences between being an active learner and a passive learner. And in the video, I give you lots of ideas for how to be an active learner in English, and a lot of those ideas are free. Now, to get that video, it's really simple. You're going to want to go to plainenglish.com/active. Active, ACTIVE, plainenglish.com/active, and that's where you'll get access to this free 30-minute training video. You're going to learn so much. I had so much fun putting this video together, and I learned a lot just by making it. So plainenglish.com/active, and that will help you move to that third part of the Socrates quote, let me do and I understand. So you can do that by visiting plainenglish.com/active, ACTIVE.